It starts with the kind of silence that makes you lean closer to the screen, the hush before a storm. Bodycam footage shows two patrol cars easing down a sleepy Savannah street, cicadas buzzing like anxious gossip in the background. Dispatch has flagged a suspicious elderly woman, and the rookie cop riding shotgun can't reconcile that phrase with the quiet front porch they're staring at. Sitting there is Ms. Lori Kingsley, late 60s, silver curls tucked beneath a church hat, quilting needle glinting in her fingers. She looks like every Southern grandmother who ever handed out peach cobbler on Sunday, not like someone who once ran covert ops in oceans half the squad has never seen. But the veteran officer, Sergeant Hayes, feels something off. His hand lingers over the holster, unsure. Neighbors whisper that Ms. Kingsley never misses a dawn walk along the river, that she collects the mail with perfect posture, that porch pirates vanish when they stray too close to her gate. None of it made sense to him until now, face to face with her calm, unwavering eyes. Hayes steps forward. "Ma'am, do you know why we're here?" The needle stills in her hand, but she doesn't look up. "Son, I know a lot of things," she says, voice soft as drifting smoke. Hidden under the quilting frame, a tarnished trident pin catches the moonlight, the insignia only a Navy SEAL is allowed to wear. The rookie notices, blinks twice, tries to remember the training video about misidentification. A chill crawls up his arms. Who tipped them off, and why target a retired war legend who's taken nothing but quiet breaths for 2 decades? Was it the stash of classified intel rumor to be hidden inside her rundown bungalow? A grudge from a mission scrubbed clean from official records? Or something even deeper, darker, coded into the very fabric of her past and theirs? Hayes radios for backup, but the signal dies with an electronic hiss. Streetlights flicker. On MS. Kingsley's porch, the air shifts, her back straightens, muscles coiling beneath the cardigan like a panther at rest. She finally raises her eyes, steel gray, all tide and memory, and smiles the smallest, most dangerous smile the two cops have ever seen. Then the quilting needle disappears from view. The rookie's pulse pounds in his ears as Lori Kingsley rises, slow, deliberate, every joint unfolding like a weapons system warming up. She lays the quilts aside with too much precision for someone supposedly startled. Underground files, those ghost records officers whisper about in locker rooms, listed her call sign as Widowmaker 1. Supposedly, she once surfaced beneath a pirate mothership, neutralized the crew, and vanished before NATO satellites could confirm the splash. That was decades ago, the Pentagon argued, buried under redlined pages and stale coffee. Yet here she is on a Savannah porch, same coiled focus, same steady hands. SGT. Hayes steps onto the first creaking plank, hardwood soft from coastal humidity. His mind flashes back to a funeral detail years earlier, a folded flag, a widow who wouldn't cry, and a rumor that the deceased carried secrets to the grave. Hayes never learned the widow's name until dispatch said Kingsley. Now his badge feels heavier than the Kevlar across his chest. "Ma'am, we need to ask about an open investigation," he tries, voice thinning under the porch light. Lori's gaze flicks to the rookie's trembling fingers, then to Hayes's wedding band, details catalogued, threat vectors mapped in milliseconds. "You boys ever wonder why Savannah's river runs so silent?" she asks. The question feels ancient, like it predates their careers. Inside the house, a radio crackles on a frequency the department doesn't use. Faint Morse pulses thread through the static. The rookie recognizes 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots, and SOS repeating alongside coordinates for somewhere in the South China Sea. He swallows hard. This woman never left the battlefield. Maybe the battlefield followed her home. Backstory leaks and flashes. Vietnam-era dossiers stamp her proficiency in free diving, cold weather sniping, and psychological operations. In the 90s, she led Operation Night Garden, a rescue mission so classified that even its failures won't age into daylight. Unverified reports claim it left her squad fractured, 2 teammates disappeared, presumed traitors. Rumor says one resurfaced in Georgia under a new identity, an identity tied to a local police precinct. Hayes's radio hisses again, then dies entirely. City blocks begin losing power, each street lamp popping out like a candle pinched between fingers. The air grows heavy, salted by the nearby marsh. Somewhere down the block, a generator kicks on, but no lights return. Lori watches the darkness creep as though she expected it to arrive on cue. "Officer, do you believe in ghosts?" she asks. Hayes tries to form an answer, but a spotlight from the second patrol car sweeps across the porch, catching a glint near her ankle. The quilting needle? No, it's a microblade, a thumb-sized sliver forged from recycled dive knife steel. She palms it so deftly the rookie doubts he ever saw it, cameras or not. Every breath between them tightens, Hayes' unspoken loyalty to the badge versus Lori's silent oath to missions that never end. The rookie feels caught in a crossfire of timelines, both too young and already too old for this. A pickup rumbles into view, unmarked, matte black. Its windows don't reflect. The dread in Hayes' gut turns to lead. He recognizes the plate sequence as federal. 3 men exit, suits tailored thin enough to hide shoulder rigs. They ignore the officers and walk straight toward Ms. Kingsley's steps, flashing credentials but no emblems. One man lifts a leather case etched with a trident identical to hers. "Evening, Widowmaker." The tallest says, voice almost courteous. "You've something that belongs to the department." She tilts her head, like a lion weighing the distance to its prey. "Everything I carried, I earned in blood," she replies. The porch light flares once, twice, then extinguishes altogether, plunging the scene into moonlit blue. Steel slides from holsters, shoes crackle on gravel, and cicadas fall silent. Nature itself momentarily stunned. In that breathless dark, only Lori's whisper rises. "You really should have knocked." A gunshot breaks the night, but no one can tell which direction it came from. The single gunshot ricochets through the dark, but, like thunder, you feel it more than hear it. No one moves at first. Time widens, thick as coastal fog, then snaps back into sharp focus. The rookie's training betrays him. He squeezes his flashlight, not his pistol, and its narrow beam lands on Sergeant Hayes' arm. "Blood?" "No, just a splintered porch rail. Someone fired as a warning." Lori Kingsley stands unmoving, little blade still hidden, yet her silhouette has changed, squared shoulders, knees bent, weight on the balls of her feet. Behind her eyes unspools a mental map of every person within 15 yards, heart rates, blind spots, likely neuroses. Widowmaker 1 is awake. The tallest agent raises his empty hand as if coaxing a feral dog. "Ma'am, we're under orders to retrieve Project Trawler documents. Voluntarily, if possible." Lori's nostrils flare. Trawler, that deep ocean black ops program rumored to have sacrificed an entire SEAL platoon in exchange for political leverage. Her platoon. The rookie watches her jaw tighten and feels empathy punch through his nerves. He realizes she's balancing personal vengeance against collateral damage. A moral war wages behind the calm exterior. Complication blooms, a new set of headlights drifts down the block, different color temperature, old halogens, not the department's LEDs. A beat-up Ford Crown Vic coasts to the curb. Out steps Reverend Porter, neighborhood pastor and Lori's longtime friend, carrying a covered casserole. He swore earlier to bring her supper after evening service. Oblivious, he calls, "Sister Kingsley, you still up?" The agent's turn. Hayes curses under his breath. Civilians weren't part of the risk assessment. The chessboard suddenly has a pawn no one wants sacrificed. Hayes' moral dilemma tightens like a tourniquet. He could order the pastor away, escalating panic, or let the scene play out, risking crossfire. Something deeper gnaws at him. Years ago, at that military funeral, he saw Porter delivering the benediction to a casket draped in the same flag that now sits folded inside Lori's living room. If Hayes intervenes tonight, he might expose secrets that could ruin 3 generations of service families, including his own. Meanwhile, in a secure server room miles away, Lieutenant Commander Mara Vance tracks every low-band radio hiccup. Vance once served under Lori Kingsley until a mission in the South China Sea left her missing an eye in faith and command. She now directs Naval Intelligence's Containment Division, its unofficial motto, neutralize the myth, restore the narrative. Watching the Savannah feeds drop into blackout, she realizes the field team may underestimate their quarry. Her hand hovers over a red phone linked directly to the governor's emergency desk. Deploy a SWAT team and Savannah becomes a war zone. Hesitate and the nation's most feared retired Navy SEAL walks away with evidence that could topple multiple admirals. Back on the porch, Lori calls softly, "Evening, Reverend. Mind setting the dish right here?" Porter steps onto the bottom stair. The rookie's heart leaps into his throat. Any sudden movement could spark the trigger-happy agent at 11 o'clock. Lori extends a steady hand and deliberately places herself between Porter and the muzzles. In that gesture lies her flaw, the instinct to shield innocence, even if it compromises her tactical edge. Widowmaker can disappear beneath waves or jungles, but she cannot abandon neighbors who once prayed over her broken body. A drone buzz builds overhead. Commercial quadcopter, civilian. Someone streams this drama live. In seconds, social media will transform a secret extraction into a viral "Cops Target Black Elderly Woman" headline. Now the agents face their own dilemma. A quiet snatch and grab has become public theater. The tallest agent lowers his weapon first, aware of millions of unseen eyes. Hayes's radio sputters back to life with frantic dispatch chatter. Units, hold position, media inbound. Foreshadowing slithers in. Inside Laurie's bungalow, a faded photograph sits propped on the mantel. Young Laurie flanked by two teammates, one face eerily familiar to the rookie, a man who could pass for the current police chief if you added 30 years. If that resemblance is real, tonight's confrontation may only be act I of an older betrayal winding toward revelation. On cue, thunder rumbles off the Atlantic, pressure dropping. Laurie gently lifts Porter's casserole lid, steam curls like battlefield smoke, and addresses the room in a voice both maternal and lethal. Let's eat before things get cold. The line hangs, absurd and terrifying. Everyone knows supper isn't the next move, but nobody is certain what is. The porch light flicks on without warning, bathing every weapon, every fearful expression in harsh honesty. And somewhere in the sudden brightness, a second drone, military grade, cuts its engines and begins a silent freefall toward the roof. The roof groans as the big drone hits, talons crunching shingles. No explosion, just a metal hiss and a scatter of sparks, but everyone flinches. Porter staggers. Laurie steadies him with one hand while her other palms the hidden microblade. The hobby drone's red indicator light swings over the scene, broadcasting to thousands. Comment bubbles erupt on-screen. Savannah cops draw on Grandma, each pixel of disbelief pouring gasoline on a live fire. Sergeant Hayes pulls the rookie behind the porch post. That's military, he mutters, eyes on the downed drone. A hatch opens in its belly, spooling thin cable toward the attic vent. Remote extraction rig. They're fishing for something inside her house. The tallest agent barks into a throat mic, but his transmitter crackles, jammed again. Rain starts, fat southern drops that splatter dust like distant shellfire. In the downpour, Laurie's cardigan darkens, but she doesn't move. You're inside my home line now, she says. Her voice is low, precise, the same cadence rookies study in hostage negotiation modules. Hayes feels his badge growing colder. Dispatch has gone silent except for a looping directive, stand by. Await chief's command. He saw the chief's photo 10 minutes ago in Laurie's mantle picture. Same eyes, younger. If that really is Laurie's missing teammate, then command tonight is compromised longer than he's been alive. Inside the bungalow, attic boards clatter. The cable has found its prize. Something small, metal, covered in dust skitters toward the hatch. The livestream audience explodes with frantic texts. What's that thing? Looks like a canister. She's got a bomb? The pastor clutches his casserole tin like a shield. Laurie whispers, Reverend, porch step 3 is loose. On my signal, drop. Porter nods, confused but trusting. He prayed for soldiers at countless funerals. Tonight the war came home wearing church shoes. Rain intensifies. Thunder rolls. The rookie's flashlight flickers, then dies. He draws breath in quick, staccato gulps, classic panic onset. Laurie catches his gaze. Control your oxygen, she murmurs. 2 count in, 4 count out. Her tone slices through his fear, the way medics cut fatigues from shrapnel wounds. He obeys, chest settling. Up on the roof, the canister dangles free. Agent number 2 levels a carbine at Laurie. Last chance, he shouts over Rain. Hand over the drive. Hayes's pulse spikes, so it is data, not explosives. Classified, perhaps evidence of Project Trawler's betrayal. Enough to wreck careers, maybe governments. Laurie lifts her quilting hand, fingers empty. Young man, you're aiming that in the wrong direction. She nods at the attic vent. Something's moving behind it, bigger than the canister. A silhouette slides between rafters. Another person? Hayes's throat tightens. If Laurie still has allies inside, he's outnumbered and outplanned. The hobby drone swoops lower, rotors whining against the gale. Comments flood, SWAT inbound. Feds planting evidence. The court of public opinion reaches a boil. Strobes of phone screens line the sidewalk as neighbors step onto porches, filming. Lightning cracks, illuminating the matte black pickup. Agent 3 pops the trunk, revealing a slim coffin case stamped Naval Intelligence. The lid lifts, inside rests a compact battering ram and a folded ballistic shield. They intend to breach. Hayes's radio finally comes alive. The voice is the chief's. All units fall back. Secure the perimeter. Do not repeat, do not engage. Hayes stares at the porch photo again. Same square jaw, same slight scar at the chin. If the chief is Laurie's long-lost squad mate, why order retreat? Protect himself? Protect her? Laurie hears the transmission too. A fleeting smile tugs her lips, recognition mixed with sorrow. Old ghosts, she murmurs. Suddenly the attic vent bursts outward. A figure drops, landing cat silent behind the federal agents. Black wetsuit, rebreather slung like a scarf, eyes steely under night vision lenses. Another retired SEAL. The newcomer sweeps a suppressed pistol upward, motion sharp as a metronome click. Agents freeze, caught between barrels. Porter, wide-eyed, finally steps on the loose board. It snaps. He falls forward, casserole flying. Dishes shatter. Reflex pulls every trigger finger taut. Hayes shouts, "Hold fire," but the word is thunder-swallowed. In the half-second of chaos, Lori Kingsley moves. She vaults the railing, grabs the dangling canister, and yanks hard. Sparks bloom. The extraction drone spirals, screaming metal against storm. Glass explodes somewhere inside the house. The rookie sees the canister clutched in Lori's left hand. It's not a drive. It's a waterlogged flash grenade with trawler etched in microprint. Pin still intact. Safety hanging by a thread of rust. Lori's eyes lock on Hayes. "You believe me now?" she asks. Before he can answer, the newcomer's pistol barks once. Streetlights die for the third and final time, plunging everything into black except for the tiny red LED on a primed flash grenade, now ticking in Lori's palm. Lightning forks across the sky, white, blinding. A thunderclap rolls over the street like artillery. For one suspended heartbeat, the world is frozen. Lori Kingsley with a primed flash grenade in hand, the SEAL behind the agents with a silenced pistol raised, Hayes crouched between duty and disbelief, and neighbors filming from shadowed porches, breathless. Then everything fractures. The flash grenade doesn't explode. Instead, Lori pops the pin and nothing happens. It's a dummy. What the hell? Agent number 2 begins before the second SEAL speaks for the first time. "Diversion complete," he says, voice cold and clipped. "Initiate phase 2. The agent's radios come alive in a deafening burst of static, then fall dead. One grabs his earpiece, then his eyes widen in horror. Are signals being looped? All surveillance. Compromised? Hayes blinks. "What?" "Your chief's not watching this anymore," Lori says, stepping off the porch like she's walking into a training simulation. "And this extraction? Was never about me." All eyes whip to the bungalow. Inside, in the back bedroom, a false wall collapses. Hidden behind it, a steel case glowing faintly with biometric locks marked with a defunct Department of Naval Recon seal. But more damning is what sits atop the box. A photograph. 3 SEALs in Vietnam-era wetsuits. One is Lori. One is clearly the chief, younger. And the third? The second SEAL. The man now holding a pistol on the agents. Hayes puts it together too slowly. "He's not here to help her," he murmurs. "He's here for the case." Lori doesn't deny it. She turns to face her old teammate, face hard. "You lied," she says. "You said you just wanted to expose what they buried. This isn't about truth. You want to sell it." "The world needs balance," the man replies flatly. "That intel in the wrong hands topples nations. But in the right hands, it can be worth billions." Agent number 3, finally catching up, swings his rifle toward the SEAL, but it's too late. With surgical precision, the man fires. One shot. Agent drops. Not dead, tranquilized. Now everyone moves at once. Lori lunges toward the steel case, slamming it shut and slapping her palm onto the biometric lock, locking it to her DNA. "Not today," she says, "and not from my house." The second SEAL raises his gun again, but Hayes fires first. A clean shoulder shot. The man stumbles, weapon spinning into the grass. The betrayal hangs in the storm-drenched air. Hayes looks at Lori, rain cutting through his uniform, his badge sagging with weight. "Tell me this ends with someone still standing." "It ends," she says, voice cracking for the first time, "when people stop lying about what we did." Sirens rise in the distance. The real SWAT team, finally inbound. Hayes keys his mic, perimeter secure. "Stand down. We have wounded. Civilian protection still priority. You're going to take the fall for this." The wounded SEAL snarls at Lori, but she's already turned her back. As the cruiser lights bleed around the corner, something strange happens. Lori steps off the lawn and walks into the road. Hands raised. She looks at Hayes. "I'll go with you," she says. "But that case stays locked." Hayes pauses. "You're not under arrest, ma'am." "No," she replies. "But someone's got to answer for what we buried." Just then, a civilian live stream hits its peak, capturing Lori in the storm, flanked by cops and felled agents. A war hero emerging from shadows of a forgotten war. Comments flood in. "Who is this woman? Protect her at all costs. Widowmaker's real. And she's ours." Behind her, the house begins to shake. The case is overheating. The storm isn't over. Hayes hears the hum first, like a hive waking. The steel case on Lori's porch glows hotter, vents exhaling steam that hisses across wet planks. Every instinct tells him to drag it clear, yet Lori plants herself between the case and the onrushing squad cars. Blue strobes stutter over rain-slicked asphalt. SWAT officers pour from vans, rifles low but ready. Their leader steps forward, visor up, confusion etched on his face as he takes in the scene. 2 downed federal agents, 1 wounded exile cursing through clenched teeth. A street crowded with civilians live streaming, and an elderly woman refusing to budge. "Ma'am," the commander calls. "You need to move away from that device." She shakes her head. "You move, Captain. This is my line." The wounded SEAL, Cole, laughs, blood mixing with rain. "Listen to them, Lori. You can't save it." Trawler added a thermal purge protocol. 30 more seconds. Everything in that case turns to slag. Hayes's stomach drops. Evidence gone, clean slate for the guilty. He glances at Lori, waiting to see panic. Instead, she softens, almost a smile. "Purges work both ways," she murmurs. The roof drone, long forgotten, suddenly chirps alive. This crippled rotor spin at just enough RPM to lift. It darts into the downpour, trailing sparks like a drunken firefly, and streaks toward the river. Cole's eyes widen. "What did you do?" "Insurance," Lori answers. "While you boys chased lights and cameras, that drone mirrored the drive to every open router within a mile. 10,000 households in Savannah just became custodians of the truth." Hayes can't help it. He lets out a breathy laugh that tastes like lightning. The truth is safe, broadcasting in fragments no blackout can reach. Cole roars, forcing himself upright, but SWAT pounces, pinning him to wet grass. In the chaos, the steel case emits a final shriek. White-hot lines race its seams. Then whump! It implodes, collapsing inward rather than exploding, leaving a fist-sized lump of molten metal. Steam rolls over Lori's shoes. She doesn't flinch. The SWAT commander lowers his weapon. Case neutralized. Civilians secure. "Widowmaker, you coming quietly?" Hayes steps between them. "Sir, she's not under arrest. She's a protected witness." Lori arches a brow. "Am I now?" "You just blew open a conspiracy older than my badge," he says. "The least I can do is see you testify." Cole spits water. "No court will touch classified ops." Lori turns to him, eyes sorrowful. "You remember Lieutenant Ramirez? Your bullet ended him, but he stored receipts. They surfaced tonight. Enjoy your arraignment." Sirens fade as additional units redirect to the chief's address. Someone leaked the mantle photo, linking him to Project Trawler. Hayes suspects Lori timed that too. Neighbors step from their porches, casserole shards crunching underfoot. The pastor kneels beside Lori. "Sister, you all right?" "I'm tired," she admits, voice cracking now that the fight has passed. "But I'm finally heard." Rain slackens. The hobby drone, battery dying, settles onto the lawn, its camera still live. Comments scroll, government cover-up exposed. "Protect Ms. Kingsley." Hayes offers his arm, she accepts. As they walk toward a waiting ambulance, a rookie tech jogs up shouting, "Sergeant." Media feeds glitching. The public files, someone embedded an extra video. Hayes frowns. "Show me." On the text tablet plays grainy footage, Lori, decades younger, waist-deep in surf at dawn. She's hauling a wounded diver, the chief, onto shore. The audio crackles, but his voice is clear. "You saved me. I'll make it right, I swear." Hayes looks at Lori. "He owed you a debt." "And he forgot," she replies softly. "Tonight I collected." SWAT loads Cole into a van. As doors slam, the wounded SEAL locks eyes with Lori. Not hatred, relief. "It's over," he mouths. She shakes her head. "Not yet." Hayes starts to protest when thunder rolls again, no lightning this time. He glances upriver. The drone that carried Savannah's secrets hovers over the water, then dives, vanishing beneath the dark, silent current. Lori watches it disappear. "Some truths still belong to the deep," she whispers, and for the first time, Hayes understands even heroes keep shadows. The ambulance door closes, engine rumbling. Rain stops altogether, leaving only the hiss of cooling metal and the low murmur of a city waking to new history. But on every screen, a final transmission blinks, a GPS coordinate pulsing off the Georgia coast. A new mystery seated by Widowmaker herself, daring the world to dig further or leave well enough alone. Dawn drapes the river in rose gold as Savannah shakes off the storm. News vans idle beside shrimp boats, antennas tilting like curious pelicans. In 12 hours, the Widowmaker files have migrated from neighborhood routers to every major outlet on the planet. Leaked mission logs confirm that Project Trawler sacrificed its own team in a covert power play. The chief, now identified as Commander Benton Shaw, is in federal custody, flanked by lawyers who look seasick before the cameras. Sergeant Hayes watches from the hospital parking lot, coffee cooling in his hands. He's already given 2 statements and surrendered his body cam. Internal Affairs calls him a whistleblower, half the department calls him a traitor. Yet the rookie, still shaking off tinnitus from the flash, salutes him with shy gratitude each time they pass. That feels like enough for now. Inside, Lori Kingsley sits by a window overlooking the marsh. Her hair, set loose from the church hat, curls silver against a fresh bandage at her temple. Across from her, Reverend Porter reads headlines aloud: Navy SEAL hero exposes conspiracy, Savannah grandma outsmarts federal sting. Each story paints her either a saint or a myth. She smiles at neither. What about Cole? She asks. Porter lowers the tablet. Transferred to the brig at Norfolk. Doctors say the shoulder will heal. They're offering a plea if he testifies. Lori exhales a breath that seems to release decades. He won't. Too much shame. Hayes steps in, cheeks pink from the sunrise. Maybe shame's the start of his reckoning. It was for me. He hands her a folded envelope, the rookie's handwriting. Inside is a single sentence: "Thank you for teaching me to breathe." Lori's eyes mist. Questions swirl online about the drone that dove into the river and the GPS coordinate pulsing offshore. Hayes asks her outright. She chuckles. A decoy. Smoke on the water to keep curious minds waiting in circles while the real evidence reached dry land. But why not reveal everything? He presses. She nods toward the marsh where osprey hunt unseen fish. Because some truths drown peacefully. Drag them up and you feed the sharks. Her gaze turns softer. What matters is the living learn to choose differently. Later that day, a Senate subcommittee announces an independent review of covert operations dating back 40 years. Activists cite Lori's files while veterans groups defend her honor. The conversation, messy and loud, is exactly what she wanted, light poured into locked rooms. As discharge paperwork rustles, Hayes offers Lori a ride home. Your porch rail needs fixing, he says. She laughs, a sound like wind in pine needles, and agrees, but only if he invites the rookie and his wife for peach cobbler next Sunday. Walking out, they pass reporters shouting for a statement. Lori stops, face calm beneath the morning sun. Tell your viewers we were soldiers taught to bury our mistakes, she says, voice steady. Tonight we proved you can dig them back up, own them, and still walk forward. Cameras flash, the feed goes viral before her second step. That evening, Savannah hosts an impromptu vigil on the Riverwalk. Lanterns drift on the tide, one for every name redacted in Project Trawler. Hayes, the rookie, Porter, and dozens of neighbors stand shoulder to shoulder as the lanterns bob toward open sea. When the last light disappears, Lori places a hand on Hayes's arm. Storm's over, he says softly. She shakes her head. Storms move. People decide whether to rebuild. She glances at the crowd filming her with phones held high but hands no longer trembling. Seems they've already started. A hush settles, broken only by cicadas and distant gulls. Lori turns to the gathering, eyes bright. Don't wait for heroes to land on your porch, she calls out. Be the witness, speak the truth, mend what's broken, starting with the railings right at your feet. Flashlights flicker, thumbs tap record, and somewhere a young voice whispers, I will. Call to action. If this story moved you, share it, then reach out to a veteran, question the narrative, fix something in your neighborhood. Heroes aren't myths, they're us, choosing courage when the lights come back on.